Back here, first things first, we are 9 days away from the NFL draft, or in completely different words, 9 days until Trevor Lawrence is officially a Jacksonville Jaguar. Pro Football Focus is setting the bar high, says he's, quote, the best quarterback prospect we have ever scouted. Well, we got a former #1 overall pick, Michael Vick, joining us now. Mike, good morning. You know what this process is like. You've been through it. What sort of pressure you think Trevor's facing to be that franchise-altering quarterback coming out of the draft?
That's a lot of pressure for any guy who's going to be drafted in the first round at the quarterback position. And, you know, this just kind of hit me a second ago. When I was going through the draft process, and, you know, as I vividly think about, you know, the times that I went through, it was more so thinking about, man, I wish I could be drafted in the 4th round instead of the 1st. Because as we went through that process and I started to see the mountain that I had to climb, you know, I started to doubt myself. I started to look at it as if I just went through a stellar college career and put everything, you know, out on the table. I laid everything on the line. Now I have to really take another franchise who hasn't been winning and turn it into a winning tradition somehow, some way. And then I started to look at it, you know, like, how do I get through this? You know, I got to look at it in 3-year increments because I had no mentor. I had nobody who could tell me how the process was going to go. Now these guys have life coaches, they got position coaches, and it's an easier transition. So I just looked at it in 3-year increments. You know, year 1, show some promise. Year 2, playoffs without a doubt. Year 3, try to continue to take it there. And, you know, years 4, 5, and 6, you continue to ascend and try to take it further. So, you know, I just looked at the immense amount of pressure that I had to deal with before I even stepped on the field. And I took it with a grain of salt. And I realized that, you know, without success in the first 3 years, there won't be another increment. And, you know, I focused on that. But the pressure of taking a franchise that hasn't won a lot of games and putting them in a position where they win games and, you know, they're highly recognized, it's on your shoulders. Guys like Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco, you know, Ben Roethlisberger, they didn't make it any easier as they made the playoffs in their rookie years respectively. So that's the pressure that all these guys are facing, not just Trevor Lawrence, but going through the college ranks and, you know, playing on that level of competition should help them weather the storm in their first 3 years, hopefully.
And Mike, that's the problem. You know, you got a guy like Trevor Lawrence. I mean, even yourself, you go through your story, but we see guys like y'all, and we say, you know what? This is the guy that's going to change the face of our franchise. And we put all the pressure on them. But the reality is it starts with ownership. It always starts at the top. Guys that comes in and have a successful career, they have strong leadership at the top. They have stability at management. They have defense, or at least a capable defense. They have guys around them. It takes more than one guy to get the job done. This is a sport in the offseason where you have 90 guys in the locker room. You know, you're talking about a support staff of 100 people pouring into the team every single day, from athletic trainers to physical therapists to doctors to the grounds crew. Everybody playing their role so the team can be successful. But we want to put it on one man's shoulder, and that's not the reality. But if we're going to look at the quarterback position and say, what's the most important thing that they need, you got to start with the offensive coordinator. So when you think about the guy they brought in, Darrell Bevell, you got to see if he's capable first. Like, this guy can come in, and if he's not in the right situation, he'll never be successful. Darrell Bevell, tell me the last time you guys remember him having a phenomenal offense. Seattle? No. I mean, you had Russell Wilson, and he was there, 2011 and 2017, but it was that Legion of Boom. And Russell Wilson, 2 minutes left, Russ, go cook. Go make it happen for us. Minnesota, 06 to 10, I believe? No. Detroit Lions? No. So when you look at this, you really got to start with, you know, the pitcher around him. But if we're going to hone in on one thing, it starts with that offensive coordinator. If you're not in an offense that's capable, that makes sense, that teaches the quarterback how to go through the progressions, they will never survive. They will look terrible, and everybody's going to be calling them a bust. But then if they were put in the right situation, they could have thrived.
Hey, Mike, how did you deal with, let's say, losing or not having immediate success with the Falcons? Because Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer have been wildly successful. We got the stats from Dusty. Trevor Lawrence was 34-2 at Clemson, 52-2 in high school. So he's lost 4 games since he was, 15 years old. That might happen in the first 4 weeks next, when he gets drafted. So what recommendation or advice do you have to Trevor Lawrence for dealing with the ups and downs of the NFL season?
Well, first and foremost, expect to lose some games. You're not walking into the ideal situation where you got a #1 receiver, you got a top 10 defense, you have a proven offensive coordinator, or you have a proven team in general. Expect to lose some games. Expect to have thick skin. The one thing that he should be proud of right now is that it's not the city of Philadelphia, one of these hardcore teams who just burrow down on their quarterbacks and not even give you a chance. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they've struggled over the last couple years, and they should be ecstatic now that they have their guy, and they have a guy that they can build around. But expect things not to go the way you expect them to go in the beginning, and continue to fight for what you're looking for, and that's winning, and that's success on all the fours. And I think Trevor Lawrence has it in him. It's just going to take a while, and they're going to have to bear with each other and collectively do it together.
Well, and I agree to an extent with what Brandon was talking about. If we're talking about winning a championship, like a quarterback alone obviously cannot win a championship, can probably not even get to a Super Bowl. But I don't think you have to have a great supporting cast, a great coach, a great system in order, if you are a great quarterback, to have success early. Deshaun Watson had Bill O'Brien, and they won the division and made the playoffs and were up big in a playoff game. Andrew Luck had a team that was built. Of course, no, you can't be a one-man team. But I would. Yeah, they had D. I understand. I'm not arguing to be a one-man team. I understand who was on the team, but we were. So are we talking about coaching? Or are we talking about personnel? Because I would argue Vic was not set up to succeed early in Atlanta. Like, they were not putting him in the best as far as system to take the most of his talents. And still in year 2, he's in Green Bay kicking their butt in the playoffs. Now, that team had a ceiling. And so Andrew Luck, they had a ceiling, but he still could drag them there. The point I'm making here is, Brandon, I don't think Jags fans look at Trevor Lawrence as, well, maybe you're saying they should, a system quarterback. They look at Trevor Lawrence as a franchise saver, and that he is going to raise their expectation to, by year 2, winning 10 games. And then it is on the franchise to put the supporting pieces around him in order to compete for titles. He's not a regular quarterback prospect. And I think that is how he's going to be viewed locally and nationally.
And Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mike. I mean, you're the only one to play the quarterback position, but I feel like outside of quarterbacks like Mike Vick, you talk about guys like, Russell Wilson, guys who can actually get out of the pocket, make something happen. Everybody's a system quarterback. Like, if your offense isn't good, if it's just bad offense, you don't have a chance. I've been in systems where you got a skinny post. Skinny post, we're talking about universally, we only throw that versus one high. You see one safety in the middle field, Troy Polamalu. You have your X and you have your Z. You can throw the skinny post. I made my way down to Miami, and I had a coach tell me, hey, we're going to practice skinny posts versus cover 2. So you mean to tell me that I'm about to run a 7-step post, and then I'm going to run straight to the safety, and I'm going to run right into Ed Reed. He's going to take my head off? It's just bad offense. And I've been around the league so long that if you aren't in a good offense, you don't have a chance no matter who you are. Now, there's an offensive lineman that can thrive. There's a running back that may be able to thrive and make something happen. But when you're talking about the quarterback position, man, it's tough.
Both of you guys are making valid points, but here's the truth of the matter. Regardless of what, if you're drafted #1 in the draft, regardless of what talent you have, regardless of what you look like, the prototype, you better win some games. because the expectations are high. I just said it a second ago. Joe Flacco, Matt Ryan.